Today on the LA Food Podcast, it's been 5 years since the pandemic forced us to wipe down our groceries, binge Tiger King, and pick up hobbies like basket weaving or, in my case, eating 100 pizzas in 365 days. Of course, COVID also notably sent shockwaves through the restaurant industry, and to this day, the labor market still hasn't recovered. What's behind the lag and what are industry pros doing about it? Father Saul's with us to discuss two excellent articles by Adam Reiner on this exact topic. Also on the episode today, 7 LA restaurants were added to the California Michelin Guide. Which ones are we most excited to try? Listen to find out. Plus, a meal at the number 17 restaurant in the world, an LA food romantic drama unfolds on Instagram, a celebrity chef deems LA the best street food city in the world, and a couple of Chinese teenagers get a little frisky with a steaming bowl of hot pot. There's a sentence I never thought I'd utter. As always, please consider leaving us a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, and without further ado, it's time to chow down. The LA Food Podcast is presented by The Lonely Oyster. Unwind at The Lonely Oyster's Echo Park Night Watch. Did you know that every night is industry night at The Lonely Oyster, dear listener? Stroll in after 10 p.m. nightly for a one-of-a-kind experience designed for the night owls and hospitality pros. Indulge in $12 handshake cocktails, expertly crafted liquid chef concoctions, delicious late-night hot bites, and chef's choice dozen oysters. More than just a place to unwind, The Lonely Oyster warmly welcomes industry professionals, providing a space where like-minded individuals can connect, relax, and enjoy the camaraderie that comes with the late-night scene. Whether you're looking to kick back after a long shift or simply enjoy the vibrant atmosphere, late night at The Lonely Oyster is the perfect rendezvous for those who appreciate good company and great food and drinks. Don't miss this nightly affair and let the good times roll at The Lonely Oyster. Welcoming back to the LA Food Podcast, a man who apparently ate too much of a lunch and is uncomfortably full. Saul, what'd you have for lunch today?
I had some guisados. I told you about this before. Yeah. And I only ever need one breakfast burrito, one of those chorizo potato breakfast burritos they got. And then I always get black beans. And then I also get a taco. And then I have all that shit and I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to sleep right now. So that's how I'm showing up to this podcast today, buddy.
That's so if you're a little bit lethargic, or more lethargic than usual, I should say, that's why.
I would say so. I'm trying to, it's helping because when I like go into the podcast, like wrap up work or whatever, and then like transition right to talking to you, I don't necessarily like put on, like have a moment all the time to go like, it's like time to talk to Luca, let's bring some energy, let's bring some thought, let's like be articulate. I don't often think that, but today, because I was feeling lethargic and I was like, I feel tired, I was like, actually let's lock in a little bit because I know I feel tired. So who knows? This might be my best performance in weeks.
What does locking in look like for you? Or do you have performance enhancing drugs?
It looks like me just going like, why the fuck do I do this? Why do I do this with my friend? Whatever, man. Whatever. Let's just try our best. Just like me closing my eyes and going like, here we go. I committed to this.
Closing my eyes and just doing our best is kind of the way we've done everything, right? So
yeah. That's how I move through life fundamentally. I will say, watch a little bit of Top Chef yesterday and today. So that was my locking in. We were going back and revisiting season 17, LA All Stars. So that just gets me in the mindset, right? Gets me in the LA Food Pod mindset a little bit.
Yep. It gets you in the mood, so to speak. Well, look, man, I know you just said LA Food Pod, but I understand that some of your major food excursions in the past couple weeks since we last spoke actually happened elsewhere. I heard you had quite the meal in London.
I did. I had I went to Cole of the chef. What's his name again? You interviewed him on this very podcast.
Santiago Lastra.
That's the man himself. Apparently, he wasn't cooking in the restaurant that day, but he was there earlier that morning, our waiter told me. I let them know that Santiago had joined you for a interview in the past. Made no impression at all. Didn't change a thing. But so it was funny. It was a good meal. But having just gone to Mexico City, the conceit of the restaurant is Santiago uses ingredients indigenous to the region that he's cooking in. So in this case, England or the UK. to make Mexican dishes, and it's really therefore like exciting to like see how he takes the ingredients of the place and translates them into Mexican fare. That's at the same time, it's not quite Mexican fare. And so coming from Mexico City, coming from LA, you're like, oh, this is interesting for the most part. There were a couple really, really good dishes, but for the most part, I walked away going, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
My sister, who lives in England, was like thrilled, right? Because if you are there, if you're from there, you're like getting stuff you don't get. Like you are getting an experience that you really have difficulty finding in the region. So it was very good from that regard.
Give me an example of a dish of like something that he creates using British ingredients, but that is still supposed to evoke Mexican food.
Thanks for asking. Thanks for giving me a heads up. You're going to ask this because I have to look at the menu and remember what we got. I remember basically each dish they sit down and you either get a taco or you get a like a mole, right, and things like that. And they do bring chilies. It's one of the fundamental ingredients they allow to come over. Like one of the we allow this one while everything else is from the UK. And basically in each dish it was like, here's something we found on the cliffs of this region, this vegetable that actually evokes this particular flavor profile, blah blah blah. I don't have a specific example because I can't remember. This was a long time ago now.
Wow, this is like an extremely forgettable meal, it sounds like.
It wasn't forgettable. It was very, very good. I mean, also lovely restaurant, lovely service, and a really great overall experience to have Isa there. But like, not to keep going back to it, but it was, I think it's a 1 Michelin star place.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to Vespertine. Vespertine looms large, dude. Like recently, Mexico City, which was in December for me, still looms large. That was a big trip. And we had some great meals like Quintonil and Auna and stuff like that. And then the other experiences I've had in the fine dining realm recently have not quite reached those heights, but they've been very, very good, but just not quite that level.
So are you telling me that Vespertine has like forever ruined you?
No, not forever. Not forever. In fact, this Saturday we're going to Meteora, right? Having some of Chef Khan's food yet again. I'm looking forward to that. And no, but it was a great night and a great meal. But I think I have no fears that I will not have an experience like that again. It's just like it is a bar setting meal. It's at the bar, right? Like in a real way.
So I think that they landed at like number 7. Cole, the restaurant you went to in London, landed at like number 17 on the world's 50 best.
Yeah,
which is really high. Was there anything you had, any moment you experienced where you're like, yeah, this feels like a top 20 restaurant in the world?
Well, I wouldn't even think there were plenty of experiences I had there where I'm like, this is a really special restaurant. Oh, this is like a really cool place. And also, I don't think I had anything that night that made me believe that experience was better than what Vespertine was, right? I didn't see that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was, especially for, again, it was Santiago Lastra. We are a fan. Really cool concept, and like really, really high difficulty concept. I think that requires a real level of creativity and like genius to be able to execute the conceit of the restaurant. And also, I believe Auna was like, or Quintonil Quintonil is rated higher than Cole on the world's 50, but like, I'd say Auna is a better Mexican restaurant because it's a restaurant in Mexico using Mexican ingredients at the very least, right? So there's just a challenge there.
Yeah, you sound like such a purist, dude. You honestly are giving like deeply conservative right now.
Dude, maybe I'm like becoming way more, I don't know, way pickier than I thought I would ever be. Like I know. Well, to be clear, I'm not like criticizing Cole, right? I'm not being a restaurant critic here. I'm just like gauging where my experience and emotional reaction was. Yeah,
that's how much you liked it.
Yeah, exactly. Like how much of an impression it left, which was I will not forget that meal. It was a very ironically, I can't name a single thing. but the experience itself was very memorable and very good. I would go back. I would try Santiago's food and doing a similar concept anywhere else in the world. But yeah, it wasn't like it didn't supersede whatever Vespertine at the very least, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that enthralling recap of your meal. I haven't had quite as highfalutin dining experiences as you have recently, but we did recently spend our wedding anniversary weekend in Santa Barbara, which is always a culinary delight. But one thing that I wanted to get your take on is we went to a donut shop on the last day there for breakfast, and I'm really not a donut guy at all. Like, it's not like I don't like them. I just never have a use for them because I don't eat breakfast. If I do, I'm not eating like a sweet breakfast. It's not a snack I particularly gravitate towards. So I'm not really a donut guy at all. However, I have become a big bagel person recently. Like, I've been really into looking, like, basically just like exploring all the various bagels that Los Angeles has to offer, especially during this sort of like bagel renaissance that we're living. And one thing they had at Hook and Press in Santa Barbara was an everything bagel donut. Basically, a savory donut that is covered in like everything bagel seasoning and stuffed with like a cream cheese type filling. You're making a scrunchy face. Am I to assume that this does not sound like something you would try?
Look, if we were doing a Chef Kiss Big Biss right now, I'm leaning strongly in one direction. I'll let you know that. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, as I said, not a donut guy. This was a special bite. I absolutely love this. It really, really worked. It may just because I'm in my bagel era, and so this was very much like playing to the crowd. However, I think this could turn even the most staunch donut skeptic into a believer.
Yeah. You're by the way really right about donuts, man. Like, donuts used to be every so often someone would bring them into the office, right? Like when we were working together.
Yeah.
But like even in my 20s, like I quickly realized like I don't want to start my day with a fucking donut. I'm going to be asleep by 11 a.m. I'm going to be like in a sugar crash by then. And then it's also not quite like a dessert all the time. I will but it's a very special, unique occasion where I find donuts.
I find it to be a very underwhelming dessert, actually, when a restaurant has like a donut or a bombolone, like the Italian fried doughs, as a dessert.
Yeah.
I'm always like kind of pissed off. Like I find it.
It does. I'm not pissed off, but I agree that at a restaurant, it's usually not the level of experience that I would want from a donut. I've gone with my sister to pick up donuts. Like, she was, like I said, she lives in England, so when she traveled over here in August, she like was feeding it. She wanted a donut, like a good LA donut, and we went, and it was really great. Like, actually, it was pretty great. It was decently good, but it was not like I just like never think about getting donuts. Wonder why that is.
I was perfect. I was absolutely waiting for you to be like, but when I think of Vespertine, the donut just doesn't live up to it.
Yeah, I really do got to shut the fuck up about Vespertine. I actually do. It's coming up too much.
It's like
but it was a great meal. It's the bar. Yeah. It's the standard, right? When people compare great basketball players, they compare it to Michael Jordan or LeBron James. They don't go like, "Oh yeah, it's a real Chauncey Billups vibe" or something. Like, no one says that.
Wow, way to pull out one of the best, or probably the greatest point guard in Detroit Pistons history. Isaiah Thomas, maybe. I don't know. We can have that debate.
Yeah. I think it's close.
Okay, well, look, hey, man, if you'll allow me a quick plug before we get into the business for today. I'm not sure if you remember the New School family meal panel that we attended a couple weeks ago. I think we've referenced it on the pod before. How would you describe the event to people who don't know about it, Saul?
We didn't just reference it. We fully talked about it and about our reactions. It was a great conversation. It was a warm, kind of like lively group of people, and then the panel was about restaurant marketing, right? And it was like kind of like and like customer outreach, and a really interesting and insightful conversation by some really good, strong personalities in the industry. I thought it was a great panel. Yeah,
it's hosted by New School, and it's hosted at the Chow Now headquarters in Culver City. It's a quarterly series of seminars designed for industry professionals, but I don't know, we're not industry pros, and we still found it super interesting. And it's really supposed to operate as a deep dive for specific restaurant topics. Saul, I've somehow weaseled my way into moderating the panel this upcoming Monday, January 4th. It's going to be a discussion inspired by the wildfires on how to actually make helpful. There's going to be guests including Lynn Tov, here's looking at you, Alicia Harshfield, the head of the California Restaurant Association, and Stephen Pooh, who oversees risk management at Liberty Company Insurance. And I believe actually one more, who's Alexa Carpena-Russo, the co-MD of Homeboy Industries Media. Saul, with this illustrious list of people, how confident are you of my ability to oversee a worthwhile discussion?
I mean, look, you are not the only thing you need to do as a moderator is remember you're not the star, right? That's the only job. Like the only time I've ever seen panels that fail is because the moderator thinks that people are there to listen to them, and they're not. All you got to do, speaking of Chauncey Billups, your point guard, baby.
Yeah,
good questions. I think you can ask a decent question, a decent follow up. Be careful with the humor. We texted about this. Be careful with the comedy. Sometimes you like to sneak in a punchline and I'd say oftentimes they don't land. No. You have like a 50-50 hit rate. It's basically like Russian roulette with jokes up there. So let's be careful. Let's not make too many risks, and you'll do great.
Thanks, buddy. I'm going to miss having you there. It's going to be, in all seriousness, I think it's going to be a really great time. But besides, obviously, the esteemed moderator, I remember there being excellent food at this event. They usually have like various like vendors who set up and make some like really go all out to serve some delicious bites. There's drinks, and the tickets are only $20, and you also get a 20% discount when you use my code, LA Countdown 20. Saul, you're not going to be using that code, are you?
I will be in Seattle for this. I'm really bummed to miss it. Family meal was really cool last time, like I said. It would have been, the thing is, I would have felt really stressed watching you up there, right? I think I've told you this before, but like watching you perform, and I think like I care about you. You're my buddy, and I want you to do well, and I want you to reflect on me well. No, I'm joking. When you do stuff, I can't help but do the thing being like, I wouldn't have asked that like that. I would have done that differently. I have this thing I can't help. And you always do a great job, to be clear. But I just have a thing.
Except for when I rapped at the open mic that one time.
Oh, dude. The shittiest shitty Yelp review of all time. Like, truly beautiful and painful to watch. It was like beautiful agony watching you rap in front of a crowd full of college students at a coffee shop.
Yeah. I love thinking back on that and thinking you were in the crowd thinking, oh, I would do this differently.
that was not. I mean, what the thought there was, I would not have done this. I would not have recommended he do this. That's as I'm backseat driving your life in my head. That was the commentary in that moment. Amazing, by the way, amazing your wife didn't get the ick. Amazing, like true commitment. We knew at that moment. Actually, I should have referenced this during your fucking wedding, honestly. As like probably the moment where I was like, yeah, they'll be together forever because she's not walking out the door right now.
Ick proof, baby. I'm ick proof. Yeah, well, in all seriousness, dear listener, I hope to see you at Family Meal. It's going to be an excellent time. We're going to put the link in the show notes. And Saul puts it best. I'm going to be the moderator, but it's not about me. You're really coming to hear experts speak. Well, hey, speaking of non-experts speaking, let's get into some of the big deals of the day. First thing I want to pick your brain on, Saul, it's something that we missed out on last week when we were talking about Top Chef. It's that Michelin added 50 new restaurants to its 2025 California guide, with 7 located in Los Angeles. This, as a reminder, this doesn't mean that they get stars or Bib Gourmand awards, but it is an indication that these restaurants are likely to be in that conversation at the time that the full guide gets released later this year. The new LA additions are Rasa Ruma, Bar Etoile, Tomat, Restaurant Key, Celine Cusano, and Mori Nozomi. So let me start here. This is slightly fewer restaurants than in 2024. I think 9 were added to the California guide last year, but it's still a really impressive haul considering the state of LA's restaurant industry. Which of these are you most interested in checking out?
Well, we've been to Rasa Ruma this year. That was a great meal.
And we still haven't talked about it.
Wait, we haven't talked about it?
No, because the fires happened right after.
Oh, because the fires. Oh, that's right. The next day or the next. Yeah. Literally, I think the next day where it was when the fires really hit. Damn. But glad to see that there. I'm interested in checking all of them out. I will say Tomat, Restaurant Key, and Celine kind of stand out. Bar Etoile is just down the street from me. That's one I should swing by one day and pop in. But those 3, Celine's been on my list for a minute. It looks really good. I'd say Tomat and Key are the ones that are kind of at the top of my list here. I don't know why I'm in not a sushi mood, but I think Kusano and Mori Nozomi are both omakase sushi, right?
I feel like this happens every year where a couple omakases get added to the guide. It just seems
Michelin loves its omakase.
Yeah. Well, it also makes sense because I feel like those are some of the highest end experiences to be had here. I did find it interesting that I feel like in past years there was a more sort of I feel like there was some range with what got added to the California guide. I think we've seen taquerias and stuff make it on before.
Yeah.
This time it all seems to be a certain caliber of restaurants.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, like, so as the article outlines, like the way they add these restaurants to the guide, but they could be anywhere between. Eventually, like later in the year when they announce the awards, these restaurants could be star level, they could be bib gourmand, or they could just be on the guide, right? And so I guess just like a
Yeah.
certain level of threshold of quality they've met for Michelin, which is fucking great and great to see them recognized. I think that'll be good. It'll be good for business for each of them, and we'll see who gets awarded with a star come when the time comes, and that'd be really exciting.
What did you think of Ras Aruma? Now that I have you on the topic.
I mean, really good. I think yeah, really good. I don't typically go for Southeast Asian food.
Mm-hmm.
Filipino food is not my Filipino Southeast Asia. Yeah, I would say so. Like East Asia.
Yeah,
yeah.
They were in my Southeast Asian politics class in college.
There you go. I typically like there are places that are good that serve that food. There were good places in Seattle that I used to eat at, but it just never really grabs me. And Ras Aruma, I think, with a couple dishes there, really did. We ordered a lot. We got a lot of food.
Yeah.
I had a really good time there. To me, it's probably a bib gourmand is what I would anticipate, which is fucking great. That's amazing for like a new restaurant. And what was crazy to me too was that the article mentioned there are only 32 Malaysian restaurants worldwide recognized by Michelin.
That's crazy.
32, and I think 3 of them are in LA. Which is great for the city, and also like kind of a I don't know. Given Malaysia is like a huge country, I think. Wait, no, I'm thinking of Indonesia a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not good at my Southeast Asian geography apparently, but happy for Ras Aruma.
Apologies to all our Southeast Asian listeners. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm googling right now. Let's do this.
I think Malaysians like cultural and food influence is huge in that region too because of like hawker fare, which then gets served in Singapore as well, right? So like laksas and things like that. So and saute culture, of course, with the saute houses and stuff, which then is also seen in Thai restaurants as well. So it's funny when I was talking to Chef Johnny Lee about why aren't there more Malaysian restaurants in LA, he was like, well, somebody told me maybe it's because people don't want Malaysian food here. like basically if the concept doesn't exist.
So someone talked to me, and I was like, I want it.
but then he was like, I think I can make it taste good, and therefore people will eat it. And honestly, that's kind of the experience I had when I was there. I was like, this, is unfamiliar food to me by and large, but it's undeniably delicious.
Very good.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think the more we go, like the more you'll learn how to craft the right order so that you're perfectly satisfied every time. I feel like we went too hard on some stuff and not hard enough on others.
We basically tried to order like half the fucking menu. I remember we ordered a lot. Also, but I will say, and like we said, generally like across the board, very solid. Also love a restaurant that comes down and drops sauces on the table right away. And the trio of sambals that they do at Ras Aruma, all of which are great. Just like I'm like, give me sauces, dude. I love sauces.
I honestly feel like your gauge for a restaurant is either how much it lives up to Vespertine or how much it emulates a Mexican restaurant.
There might be something to that. It's good. It's good to hear this. It's good to reflect on my own biases and preferences. But literally, I mean, when we went to Mexico City for the first time and we popped by like a taco spot and they drop like the 2-tier salsa thing on the table with like 12 sauces, I'm like, let's fucking go. This is
heaven.
Great.
Heaven. Yeah.
Heaven.
Yeah. Well, look, I think you nailed it, especially with the restaurants you most want to try. I think I share those. Restaurant Key, I'm hearing amazing things. This is Key Kim's new tasting menu after, he basically closed Kin and then went to work at Meteora for a while. It's sort of like him re-emerging on his own, and everything he's doing at the tasting menu, I believe in Little Tokyo, looks amazing. And then I hear great things about Celine, but really the most interesting one on the list seems to be Tamant. I mean, I can't even remember the like cultural influences that the chef has when he's working, but I just remember it being like the United Nations, right? In a list. Like there's so many different cultural influences that he's pulling from, and they're all like based on his biography. Like he has a very sort of like multicultural background. So the food sounds incredible, and it's in this really like sort of weird little pocket of Los Angeles near LAX, right? So it's not weird. People live there. There are businesses. But like it's unfamiliar to me, I should say. So that is very much at the top of my list.
Yeah, Tomat, like a Tomat and Cosm English Premier League game. Because I think they said the dinner menu has a lot of British influences at Tomat, and like a little Tomat,
Yeah.
and Premier League seems like a combo that makes sense.
A dangerous combo, I would say. All right, enough about Michelin. We'll keep our eyes on that. I mean, we should probably resurrect the why do we care about Michelin? But I actually Googled, like, I know it's a tired subject. I Googled, like, is Michelin dead? There's like literally 100 think pieces on it. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe we don't need to resurrect it. We can just accept that it's a thing that exists.
I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT why do I care about Michelin and let it answer for me. Go ask Claude. Go ask Claude his thoughts on. Yeah.
Wait, you don't do that for all your answers? Anyways, moving on to the other big deal of the day. This is a reporter we love to talk about on this podcast, Adam Reiner. I believe he was responsible for the Trader Joe's hit piece that we talked about last year, and also
not a hit piece, just the truth.
Just reporting.
Just reporting, baby.
And also, I think he wrote a really good sort of like think piece on The Bear and sort of like how it reminds him of his career in restaurants. So we've spoken about Mr. Reiner at least twice. He published 2 stories on the challenges of the restaurant labor market. He published one for Eater and another one for The Guardian. The Eater piece is sort of more of a macro look at the state of things, and The Guardian one is a feature of several former industry workers who have transitioned to other career paths since the pandemic. Basically, the thesis of the coverage of his coverage is this: 5 years after the pandemic, the restaurant industry is still grappling with a severe labor shortage, and many workers have left the industry permanently, and employers are struggling to attract and retain talent despite offering higher wages and better benefits. So I'm going to ask you what you found interesting and what you learned. So maybe take a moment to ask ChatGPT that while I list off what I found interesting. And that is, some of the key points that he makes are that experienced workers in particular are harder than ever to find, which is acutely the case with skilled positions like sommeliers and butchers, and that's not something I'd really thought about. Secondly, worker expectations have shifted to the point where old school tactics, like basically bigging up the prestige of getting to work with a certain chef, really no longer fly. It reminds me of like when we were doing internships for free, right? In college, you do it because like you get to work with a certain politician or a certain name company. They don't even do that anymore there. Like it's it's sort of the same idea. That no longer flies. You now have to be remunerated for your work, which seems fair. Also, while workers now expect higher wages and better working conditions and comprehensive benefits, labor costs have made that very difficult to actually achieve. So there's sort of a tension there. That said, the restaurants are doing their best to offer those extensive benefits. And they're also basically to account for the experience gap that is emerging, because there's no longer those experienced people that want to work in the industry, or as many of them. They're instituting more structured training programs to compensate for lower experience. But Saul, what was one thing you learned while reading Adam's coverage?
The most interesting thing to me, or the thing that I was learned the most, was about how restaurants are dealing with the new expectations and new quality of labor that's coming into the industry, right? I knew that a lot of people had left the industry for different prospects after the shakeup of COVID, and what Adam described in this piece in The Guardian was kind of like different personal stories of people who kind of were like got let go from the restaurant job, and it was the first time they'd like looked up from the rush of the industry for years, and they were like, wait, I can literally be a postman or a salesman or somewhere else. And a lot of them were like, did not miss the industry. I knew that to be true because I've seen it from other aspects of my work. What's interesting is how people, like, how the kind of middle class, I would quote unquote, of the industry, right? So like new folks are coming in still, but not enough to replace the lost talent. Some of the higher level like CDCs and SUs are still there. But with like the butchers and the craft cocktail makers and the people who would teach and had very specified skill sets and would bring that knowledge down, that being lost and the impact of that mentorship being gone was really significant to me and really scary, right? Like that's a wild thing. Even something that was weird too. Like they were talking about how, as you were mentioning, because of the lack of new talent coming in, or like the smaller pipeline of folks coming in, people who come in need that training, like 3-week training, rather than just shadowing for a couple of days. And 2, there was like a mention of like how people are like inflating their resumes and then coming in and then like clearly not knowing what to do, like, and then the Sues have to take on like that was like a really interesting specific phenomenon to me as well.
That seems like a Gen Z problem.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. I feel like Gen Z, like that's sort of, I don't know, like they're always like trying to, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if they like genuinely see more value in what they are doing than what they're actually doing.
Oh, man.
Or if, what?
No, I'm just saying.
I think we have like one Gen Z listener.
That's fair. That's right. No, I said, oh man, because I can like immediately think of examples on the top of my head of people. Yeah, there could be something to that. But I mean, overall, it's like a really, I'm not going to say just scary, but like it's something that's going to shift business models and shift labor dynamics in significant ways. Like I would be surprised if things return to pre-COVID sort of dynamics. Someone mentioned like it used to be you'd lose a third of the people to turnover each year, but a ton of people would come in.
Yeah.
Now you've lost people or are losing people, and they're not coming in. I don't necessarily think that's going to change. And so how restaurants deal with that and deal with the upskilling that's required and so on and so forth will be interesting. At the same time, I don't think that dynamic will change in the short term.
Right.
I sort of believe that like if restaurants are able to begin offering benefits and salary and training,
exactly,
that will draw people eventually in when at some point. But it may be a painful period before that happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as you were saying that. As you were saying that, I was like, well, it just may take some time for like sort of the perception of the industry to change, right? Because I feel like the perception right now, and I remember we gave like Rick Bayless a bunch of shit after the Bear.
I literally just thought about that. Just thought about it. Yeah.
Well, and the reason we gave Rick Bayless shit is because he made a lot of headlines after the Bear season 1 premiered or something like that, where he was basically like, the Bear set kitchens back 40 years or 30 years, saying that like it's no longer like that, right? In kitchens, like they are more professional environments, but because the Bear is such a prominent example of what it's like to work in kitchens, now people who might have considered going to work in kitchens are put off of it because they just see the same sort of toxic work environment that's been, associated with the restaurant industry for God knows how long.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Rick, like based on some of the stories that Adam highlighted here and the folks he spoke to, is still a thing. Like I think one of the like it was like he's like, wow, it's not like that anymore. It's like, demonizing aspects of the industry that just aren't true. Yeah. No, they are. Like you hear it from these people who are like, I used to be like I someone in the Guardian article said, I used to like the restaurant industry made me a worse person because made me feel like a worse person because it was so aggressive and anxious and there was so much berating.
Yeah.
That like she's like, oh, other industries aren't like this. Now I'm not saying that with like a big, painting with a broad brush. I think we have noted and talked about how that culture is shifting.
Yeah.
But I think Rick may have been a little premature in his critiques of the Bear.
Yeah, and honestly, it's probably so. What this all reminds me of, as we were talking about it, is like it kind of reminds me of the PR model. Which is like basically like PR companies, these big PR companies, like they usually like are able to make the economics work because they've got very few executives at the top and they've got a bunch of really relatively cheap labor at the bottom, like entry-level folks. It's really sort of the middle managers who eventually have to go find opportunities elsewhere in order to make that pay jump because there just aren't that many positions at the top, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's sort of what they are outlining here, where you have the top people in the kitchen getting paid salaries and benefits and everything like that. And then you have a lot of entry-level folks who are still coming in and maybe are more underqualified than they've ever been, according to this article. But then it's really those middle people who are struggling to get to the top who are looking for opportunities elsewhere. And so even though like I do think that there's real potential for some of these changes to give the industry a better reputation, right? Like for example, benefits, better working conditions, better training and stuff. And I do think that that can make real positive impact that will attract people to go work. That's a difficult problem to solve, is like, how do you provide upward mobility for people at a certain point within the kitchen?
Yeah, no, 100% right. And I think it's been true that like, I don't know if you would have ever, I have never, for example, I'll speak for myself. I have never looked at the restaurant industry and thought upward mobility industry, right? Which might be wrong, right? Like I see it as stability and passion, or frankly, minimum wage work sometimes, right? minimum wage and tip work. So for if you're on the lower end of the income spectrum, it's like art and passion on higher levels, and then it's like kind of like just like solid average
Yeah.
position. But the upward trend, to your very point, is like a little difficult to imagine, and I do think that's one of the things that's probably that impression at least is probably keeping some like more young people from like entering the industry, especially as I was surprised to hear that actually in this piece Adam mentions that the Michelin star chefs, right, or high level chefs can no longer like the reputation no longer stands, right, is no longer enough, which by the way people have
It's a
to
good
get paid.
thing.
Like, pay,
It's a good
pay
thing.
interns,
Yeah.
that is a good thing. I mean, it still doesn't quite make sense to me. Like, I feel like people are still really compelled by.
Well, I think it's a trend, right? Like a trend doesn't mean that doesn't happen anymore, right? Like I mean, even when we were doing our top chef recap,
Yeah.
we were talking about someone who like went to go work with Gagan because he really wanted to, right? For 6 months. I'm assuming that person may have taken a steep pay cut to do so and done so at tremendous personal expense, right?
Yeah.
But like, and you still hear that as like a barrier for equity in the industry is that like oftentimes who are the people who can go stage at fancy Michelin restaurants in France? It's people who come from money, right? Like it's more difficult to be able to do that if you need to actually earn a paycheck. I think it still happens. I think they're just saying it's happening way less, and those restaurants, even with those big chef names, are now finding we need to start offering competitive benefits.
Yeah. Good. I mean, yes, as you mentioned, still I think a good thing for the industry. It was really shocking to hear all the people who had left the industry for whatever their new thing is. Like, yeah, I immediately I have a more stable life, I have a more stable salary, I can save, I don't have to live in New York, and like and I get to bed on time to like see my kids, right?
Bro, that's key. Not having to live in New York, sign me up.
It's a huge thing. I mean, like, yeah, this is all like related stuff. Like, these are like the places where the finest dining happens. LA is included, San Francisco, right, for sure. Like the positions at restaurants. The reason why the labor shortages were a problem before COVID was because of housing costs. I think in these big cities, and we were hearing about this in LA, and in San Francisco, and in New York, right? The people like aren't like it's not right. So I don't know. This is like a broader global problem, but it was a really useful kind of set of articles from Adam to look back on where things stand since the shock of COVID, and how things are shaping up, coming back around.
To me, it almost feels like a bit, and maybe it's because I've been watching too much industry, but like to me, it feels a bit like a market correction, meaning like
you are watching too much industry. I can't believe you just said market correction.
Market correction. Yeah, I think it's definitely like a sell and a hold, and I don't know how to use any of these terms. But basically, like before the pandemic, right, it was an unsustainable like labor model, right, where people are basically having to work for so little in these big cities with no upward mobility. And the pandemic, as it was with so many things, was sort of a forcing function to like help things correct a little bit. And I think right now we're in that growing pain. But to me, I think like it's just not, I don't think it's feasible for the restaurant industry to come back as it was before, but just with better benefits. Like I don't think that the economics of that work, right? I think we're seeing that. Like we're seeing like one of the things we always hear about when restaurants talk about their tough times are rising labor costs. And I think somebody in the piece, a Charleston restaurateur, said that their restaurant costs from 2020 to 2023, labor costs went up 40%.
Yeah.
In a business of like really fine margins. That's insane. Like you're not making that up with food. You're just not. You got to resort to other things like having your restaurant do like film shoot locations for unsavory companies. You know, like that's the kind of thing you need to do to like make up the dollars. So I do think that what we're going to see is like more innovative models. Like we're just, like, for example, last week we talked about Sorakraft Kitchen, the one-man tasting room downtown, right? That I've in the past spoken to like robot restaurant concepts, a literal pizza truck operated by robots, right? Not saying this is a good thing. I just think like by necessity, we're going to be seeing a ton of these new concepts.
Yeah, I think innovation and evolution is exactly right. Like we are like the shock happened, and now it's like the reverberations from the shock and the moment where people can begin to figure out. I don't think there are going to be a bunch of one-man restaurants popping up. I feel like that's
pretty unsustainable.
pretty unique model. But I do whatever it is. Yeah. Also, conversation for another time. But I wouldn't. I don't think if a restaurant's operated solely by robots, is it a restaurant? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. It's a vending. It's a vending. No, it's a vending machine. Is what it is. Like I kind of believe that. But anyway, but you're exactly right, and I think and it's probably hopefully gonna continue to push things in the right direction culturally. That expectations are changing.
Yeah.
And also look, we have to mention that a lot of this is not restaurants' fault.
No.
The cost of housing, the cost of living, not being like being so high in these cities is not the fault of restaurants, right? And I mean, it may one of the things we might see more and more of, which I think we may already be seeing more and more of, is restaurants leaving, like going to other geographies. Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I think we will see that increasingly. And I would be really curious, and this is maybe a project we should do, but if we map all of the like exciting openings over the course of the last 10 years in LA, I think you would find very few of them happening on the West Side.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
I just like geographically speaking, I think that it's just, I don't know, the economics are obviously different over there in terms of like real estate, right? So I'm trying to think on like what are the most exciting restaurant openings of the last, 10 years in LA. And I do think you would find that a lot of them are Arts District, downtown,
Northeast.
Yeah, or Glassell Park or Echo Park or whatever it is, right? So I think it's just something that we're going to be seeing both broader, like nationally, but also continuously with the city. So basically, I look forward to having dinner with you at a 3 Michelin star restaurant in Palmdale someday.
In Palmdale, baby, let's go. Dude. Would you let your kid go into the industry? I mean, your family is in the industry or was in the industry in Europe.
Yeah, that's a question I wrote down because I was interested in this, right? Because I think a common thing we see, especially on shows like Top Chef, right, where maybe you have like a second generation kid, right?
Yeah, Boudeleaux.
The king. Yeah, there's the first generation who like came to this country or whatever country they immigrated to, and out of necessity basically got into the restaurant industry, right? And they made enough money to send their kids to college or whatnot. And then sometimes those kids still find food as their passion and want to go into the restaurant industry. And the thing you hear all the time is, my parents were like, why the fuck are you doing this? I literally worked my ass off so you didn't have to do this. And I still think that there's that there's still that perception, right? That it's not like a first choice thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, maybe now that I've seen all of these efforts that are happening to like rebuild kitchen culture and, provide opportunities, provide training, provide upward mobility, all this stuff that exists, obviously I'm biased because I love food and I love restaurants, but yeah, I'd be fucking stoked in this day and age if my kid wanted to go into the industry. I
think part of it is also that upward mobility thing we were talking about, right? Like, I mean, to be clear, I would be supportive of my kid doing it too, as long as they like. This is my dad's rule for me and my sister growing up was, you can do whatever you want, you just have to be good at it. You have to take it seriously. Yeah, that's wow. I think it's the right bar, and I also think like, it's scary to be a parent and like watch and know your kid is signing up for anxiety and economic hardship, most likely, like, and they have to really be one of one in terms of how hard they work and how lucky they get and maybe how talented they are to get to where they want to be. And that's true of like when kids become actors too, right? something else you're familiar with, maybe.
No, yeah, totally. It's exactly the same thing. It's like, I wonder how many people get into the industry and think like, I'm going to become a wealthy restaurant owner / celebrity chef. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
How many people think they're going to get to be the 1%? Yeah. Because the truth is, the 1% are the Rick Baylesses. The less than the 1%. There's so many restaurants, right? So it's an interesting bar, right? But I do think that the industry is becoming increasingly professionalized. So there is likely to be a universe where you could be really successful, but not have to reach that echelon.
We should also, I think that's all 100% right. We should note that the restaurant industry is also a place where people can just people who like may have, I don't want to like, who may have limited prospects in other ways go for a paycheck. Right, just straight up that's why immigrant families tended to. Right, I think that's why it's one of those restaurants that anyone can come in, and industries anyone can come into and work hard at and be successful at and make a paycheck at. And it used to be you can make a paycheck and support yourself, right, and like build a life and maybe buy a house and all that. And now, due to both internal and external circumstances, primarily external, I think that's just not true as like anymore, right? And so
Yeah.
these are. I feel like we went from like a. I mean, this is always a broad conversation about the labor shortages, but I think this is a universal thing. Now, the last thing I'll say on this is I don't think the labor issue is going to just be the straw that breaks the camel's back necessarily with it. Like, I don't think, I mean, restaurants have closed due to labor shortages and labor costs and all that. That is true. But I think there will be, to your point, like a correction in some way or an innovation or an evolution some way. I think that industry and being in restaurants always like kind of entices people and is romantic in some ways to people. And the bear actually still does help that. And I think there is still that culture. But it's going to be a rocky and continue to be a rocky period here.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because you say like this has evolved into a much broader conversation, but I feel like whenever you talk about something like a labor shortage, I do think you got to examine like what is contributing to that? Like, where does this come from? Because it's honestly, I think too much onus is put on the restaurants to like create a better, situation for workers. Like, there's so many other factors. I think that's the one area of like Adam's piece that I think was a little left a little unexplored. But obviously, you could only accomplish so much in 1,000 words.
He wasn't. Yeah, I think he wasn't trying to necessarily like he was looking at a particular like topic, right? And this is the reality of that topic.
Okay, so I guess chef's kiss to Adam. Speaking of chef's kiss, Big Miss, do you have time for a quick round?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right, I'm going to start you off with an easy one. LA Food Instagram was up in arms this weekend after Kara Vorbuter of the pizzeria formerly known as Boy Blue publicly announced that her boyfriend and business partner had been cheating on her, thereby bringing an end to the beloved pizzeria. So, cheating on your girlfriend and business partner, destroying a business, and igniting a social media shitstorm, chef's kiss or Big Miss?
Emily wanted me to say, I don't know if she actually wanted me to say this or not, but Emily's take on this was public shaming is like a feminist solution and should be celebrated. So,
wait, are you calling us feminists?
No. I'm calling Emily a feminist and her sharing her commentary here. This was sad to see. I'd been following Boy Blue, but the only thing I'd say here is I take issue with you saying destroying a business. The business is very much alive. Shout out Bistro Blue, long may it live, and don't do this. Don't do that.
Yeah. No, and that's really the reason I brought it up. Obviously, it's hot goss in the LA food community, and we would not be doing our pseudo-journalistic job if we didn't bring it up, but...
No, we definitely did not need to talk about this, by the way. This is people's personal life and shit.
The reason I wanted to bring it up, well, first of all, it was brought up extremely publicly by them on Instagram, both of them, right?
Sure.
But I think the other piece of this is I really wanted to shine a light on the fact that Boy Blue isn't actually dead. It's just pivoted to Bistro Blue, and Kara is cooking at Bar Le Fay, I think 5 times a week. So, if you do want to show some solidarity, absolutely go visit her. The food looks absolutely insane. Maybe that should be one of our next date nights.
I would love that. By the way, before I forget, you owe me dinner at Felix. Don't forget. That was part of our Super Bowl bet. I feel like the bomb, yes. You literally say it. You say it in the video you posted. You ate the bomb and your brain wiped. But you do owe me dinner at Felix while we're talking about stuff. So I'll buy at Bistro Blue.
I'm not gonna lie. I had 100% forgotten.
I totally could tell. Yeah.
All right, I'll make a reservation. Noted. I'm scared to go, man. I honestly think we might not be welcome.
Should I make the reservation? I'll make the reservation. Yeah.
I think you maybe should. All right, moving on. YouTuber Joshua Weissman, German for Joshua the White Man, dropped a video exploring which U.S. city has the best street food. Los Angeles took the crown over Austin, Portland, and New York City. The guide for Los Angeles was LA Tacos Memo Torres, and he took Joshua to Mariscos Jalisco, Birria y Tacos La Única, Frontera Taqueria, Kogi, and Mia Shawarma. Saul, was Memo's curation of LA street food a chef's kiss or a Big Miss?
Obviously, he did a good job. I haven't seen this video. I want to watch this video actually. Now that I know that he names LA the winner. Yeah, good job. I think also he's right. I think. Well, I've had Austin street food. I've had Portland actually has like a pretty solid.
The street carts, right?
The street cart, it has a good. I love the vibe of Portland street food scene because of the street pods. I think or food pods they call them across the city. Like the setup and the walkability to them.
That sounds so dystopian.
What? Yeah. But like it is like a really really cool vibe. I get the feeling though the food quality in LA might have Portland beat out a little bit. I did have at a food truck in Portland that sandwich called like the Sol or something. It was like a cheesesteak sandwich. Maybe it's called like the Fat Sal or something, kind of like the restaurant here. And I was like, let's check it out. Very good, very good sandwich.
I don't know. For my limited experience with Portland, I just get the sense that it's kind of like, I don't know. Is it the most diverse place in the world? You know, and I feel like
okay. Yeah. So maybe demographically not so much is I based on my experience in Portland, but food I think is very diverse there. I think they have a really good food scene, like a great food scene,
right?
And one that's highly underrated, I would say.
Yeah, I just think that like diverse communities lead to the best type of diverse street food because yes, you can have some amazing like, you know, chefs who are maybe from a certain region and want to showcase that food of the region, but who are they cooking for? They're cooking for an audience who might be having that food for the first time, and therefore you tend to find, you know, some of the like easiest swings basically of that cuisine, whereas in LA you've got so many diverse communities and the cooks are actually cooking for those communities who are very familiar with the foods, and so you just get so much more, I feel like.
Yeah, that might be true. Yeah. I gotta watch this video. Excited to check it out.
Entertaining video. Memo did a good job. I think the only choice I take a little bit issue with is Kogi, just because like, what is this, 2008?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but well, cause I've had Kogi more recently, and it's like it is dated, right? It tastes it feels a little dated.
That short rib's been sitting out for a while.
I can't. I mean, it was still good. No, it's still good, but I think it's so iconic that I have no issue with them going there. It was like it was a idea that like was that shaped its time, like shaped our time still. Absolutely. So still as like an icon restaurant, good to go. But yeah, maybe not the hottest name on the street these days.
Yeah, I was really happy to see Mia Shawarma. Like that is, they serve at Smorgasburg, and they also like set up a stand in Sherman Oaks, I want to say, on Friday nights. And honestly, that's one of the best bites I had in 2024. Like their shawarma is on another level. Their bread is, I believe, something that they import from Jordan or get from like a Jordanian baker, and it is absolutely incredible. It's a very special and like hyper regional, hyper specific street food stand we have. I think it's, you know, the Birria Tacos La Única, I think it was an easy one because it was right next to Mariscos Jalisco, so I understand logistically why they did that. I think there could have been perhaps a more interesting choice there, but yeah.
If I would make any edits, I would Tacos Árabes La Puebla, which we went to a while back. I had been like kind of fiending for that again. I think that's like a really cool, unique street food option we have. The other one would be a barbecue. I feel like we have really cool like I mentioned Salitos before on the pod that I want to check out. There are a couple like pop-up barbecues still out there. I know a couple of them had shifted over like moves to like a brick and mortar, but there are some pop-ups out there, and I think like street barbecue, man, that just hits.
Yeah, there's
Austin probably had good options for that too, to be fair. But yeah,
I'm sure Austin did. Yeah, so I wonder if you have to think about it like a competition, like you know you're gonna lose the barbecue to Austin, so you might as well lean into other stuff. Yeah. Anyways, good job Memo, and good job Los Angeles. Moving on to the next one. The New York Times' Allison Kruger wrote a piece on doggy bags, reporting that restaurateurs are noticing a trend of diners opting less and less frequently to take home food. Saul, is the trend towards fewer doggy bags from restaurants populating home fridges a chef's kiss or a big miss?
So I'm gonna be a hypocrite here because I'm like so picky with leftovers. I'm really wasteful. It's really not good.
Picky's a really like generous way to frame it. You're like bigoted against leftovers.
A little bit, maybe. Yeah. I mean, very, very rare cases. I'm very specific. That said, I feel like people should probably be taking. I mean, food waste is not cool. We should try not to do that. I say as probably one of the most food wasteful people, at least above average. Hopefully not the most, but I totally get it. Why people are doing it, but like, nah, we gotta be better.
Okay, this is a bit of more of a philosophical question, but the main reason I don't take food home from restaurants, there are two. One is if I'm traveling, obviously, and like I'm not going to bring it back to the hotel room. I'm not a psychopath. Secondly, is oftentimes at the restaurants I'm going to, it's it just doesn't seem like it's gonna like reheat well, right? Or it's gonna make for a good leftover.
Yeah.
Is it incumbent on restaurateurs when they're thinking about their menu to think about how foods might reheat?
No.
What about sustainability?
No. I mean, the only time they would think about that is, I don't think sustainability, like, it is for a to-go menu, right? Or to-go options. I've heard like Dave Chang has talked about this, like trying to like kind of strategize around like what makes a good or bad to-go item. Like in that case, sure, right? It's part of the product, but no, not in the restaurant itself. No, it's incumbent on dining. Like, things can be the customer's responsibility, right? One of my number one favorite, like my big gripes, I think, is like I don't believe the customer is always right, and I believe customers have some responsibility, and it can be incumbent on us as the eaters to actually, be more thoughtful about how much we order, taking stuff home to reheat, and not being wasteful more broadly.
Yeah, customers always right is one of the most toxic, I think, ethoses.
That's just so dumb. That's so dumb.
Except for when it works in your favor. Like, my wife is extremely good at the customers always right mentality in terms of like, if she wants to get a return done or something, she will literally go after it like it is her God-given right, and is always even in the most impossible circumstances successful. So I'm extremely grateful for that. Anyways.
Yeah. Your wife Karen really, really great at pulling that off. I hear also a generational trait between her and her mom too.
Yeah. It's in the lineage. All right, final one. Reuters reports on a Chinese restaurant in China that was forced to issue an apology after a video of diners urinating into hot pot broth went viral.
So I read this headline and I missed diners. I thought it was staff.
No. Let me make this clear. A video showing two men urinating into the broth of their hot pot while dining in a private room at a chain called Haidi Lao restaurant in Shanghai started circulating online last month, basically causing a huge uproar. And Chinese hot pot giant Haidi Lao, the company, said it would compensate over 4,000 diners who had visited the restaurant to make it up to them for their trauma, I guess.
But again, other diners weren't served this. A diner was served hot pot and then stood up and peed in it?
So my understanding is that there are private dining rooms at this hot pot restaurant, and there were two 17-year-olds who I guess were having a wild time and needed to go relieve themselves and chose to do it into the broth of their hot pot.
Oh my God.
So, and obviously this was caught on camera and went viral because the next question would have been like, how did you find out? But anyways, it was caught on camera. My question for you, Saul. So obviously urinating into hot pot at a public restaurant, not great. But my favorite line of the entire article was this. The case revealed a lack of training procedures, which led to staff's failure to detect the situation promptly. So, staff's inability to detect whether people are pissing in hot pots. Is that a chef's kiss or a big miss?
I don't understand how I would grade this. Like, I don't understand how I would grade this on that curve. Like, it shouldn't. They weren't eating it, right? The staff wasn't eating this, right? How are they supposed to know, like, unless they were like literally standing right by the security camera, that two kids had done that, right? By the way, like, was it a prank? Like, were they pranking other friends?
Those details are unclear, and I would not dare to speculate.
Honestly, what I'm thinking about right now? Who knows what was going on in this kid's head? Maybe they were drinking. I don't know what the drinking is in China. Probably were fucked up. Maybe they were trying to pull a prank on their friends, make their friends eat it. Super gross. But like, maybe there's like, I'm just trying to add logic to this because hopefully they didn't fucking pee in it and then eat it. That's so gross.
Oh, this is a little underseasoned.
Literally all I can think of is I feel bad for these kids, dude. That's like my main
kids.
Thought. Yeah,
I feel bad for the staff, dude.
Well, yeah, of course the staff. I mean, of course.
First
the staff,
of all, they had to live this, They had to take this hot pot full of urine back to the kitchen, dump it out, and then it gets pinned on them. Like, your fault. You didn't detect this shit.
Well, no. Well, sure. Yeah. That sucks. That sucks. Staff failure to. Yeah. I see what you're saying. That sucks. I don't blame the staff. Hey, like we're saying, customer responsibility. This is an easy one.
Yeah.
Were these customers right? I would argue they were not in their behavior, right? So But I'm like, yo, if you're a stupid kid, I'm just gonna say they're drunk, and then like you go viral for like the worst mistake. Hopefully you will ever make. Maybe worst. Hopefully the worst. That sucks. That's bad. This is just really gross. This is really gross. Isa loves Heidi Lau.
Oh, really? Oh, you know Heidi Lau? I'm actually not a hot pot fan.
I haven't been to one in a while. I kind of agree with you, I think. But maybe I should try Heidi Lau. There's one in Westfield Century City, I think.
Yeah. No, I would go. I would give it another shot. But yeah, it wouldn't be the urine that put me off the hot pot. Let's put it that way.
It would not be?
No, the hot pot puts me off the hot pot.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll probably do for today in a rambunctious edition of Chef's Kiss Big Miss. Saul, do you have a shitty Yelp review for us today?
I have like a personal shame one. I think this one. Okay, so basically, about a week ago, you got to get your real ID now, right? If you want to travel, they got that deadline coming up.
Just got mine.
It's a real pain in the ass. Oh damn! So I have this whole day planned out. I'm gonna go get the real ID for myself. I also need to help Emily get hers. I also had like 4 different logistical things to do in one day, and like I had a work call in the morning. I had to do it before I ran all these errands. So I go to the DMV. I miss my appointment that I'd scheduled because I was late from work.
Of course.
Then I wait around forever. Have all my documents. I feel pretty sure. Go up to the DMV window. Immediately they're like, "You have cash, right?" And I was like, "No, you have like the thing, right?" They're like, "System just went down. Can't take cash." I don't have cash. I was like, kill myself. They're like, by the way, like, I have to take the written exam again. I'm like, I've already lived in LA. I took the written exam. I passed it. Like, it'll be fine, right? I thought I was good. I'm renewing my license. I'm not like, and they were like, nah.
But did you have a Washington license? Like you were?
I now have a Washington license, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
but because like the switch up. But come on, man, I've already passed the thing. I don't like, and so I basically go to the DMV, waste a shit ton of time, don't get anything done. And because I leave and I'm like, you know what? It's still actually early in the day. I'm going to go to Courage Bagels. Fuck it. Like, I bet it's like fine. Fine to check out Courage. I've been wanting to go for a while.
What time was it?
It was like 11 on Friday.
Big mistake.
Now, however, but it was a rainy day. It was one of the rainy days in LA. So I was like, oh, maybe that means people are going to be like kind of not down to go wait. I drive like the 30 minutes from Glendale DMV down to Courage. Huge line, raining. I don't have an umbrella. Everyone else has umbrellas. I'm like, fuck this. I go home completely. I left home that morning, like to get like a list of things done. I got no things done. Got back 5 hours later. And it was like, I have nothing to show. I've been driving in circles, pissed off all this time. Now I don't think this like really bothered Emily that much. But it was a little bit shameful. It was a little bit like...
I'm bothered at you for it. Imagine all the things you could have done in that time.
100%. I mean, yeah. Like I have things to do. And I just fucking hate when that happens, man. I've gotten pretty good at logistics in my adult life. And to have such a heavy failure, like it was humbling. It was a humbling day, a humbling moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you deserve stars for this necessarily because it just seems like Saul's very bad, no good day or whatever that's called. So I'm just gonna give you like a mercy 3 stars basically.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I actually want this reminded me that when I was traveling internationally a couple weeks ago, I drove all the way down to the airport. We'd spoken on a podcast on Wednesday. I was driving down to the airport. I get to the airport to fly internationally. I like print out my bag tag. I'm checking a bag, put my tag on my bag. As you also know, I get to the airport like with typically the minimum amount of time needed to like get through.
Dangerously so. Walk
up to the counter and I'm like, I don't have my fucking passport. I don't have my fucking passport. Guess I'm not going. And then had to go home, spend on like hundreds, no, more than hundreds of dollars on a fucking like replacement flight.
Oh my God. I would have called it a day, bro.
Dude, I did my best. I got out of there, but literally like, and it was just like shame, and like, so a couple, knocks on your boy. Again, Emily's just like, wow, that seems pretty dumb of you. Just like goes back to her. So he doesn't care that much, but
I'm gonna take the star rating down to 2 stars because I feel like your recklessness then impacts your mood, which I know you take out on your partner. So yeah.
I don't. I try. I really try.
You can try, but it doesn't.
I don't take out. That makes me sound like a fucking domestic abuser. I don't take it out
but like,
on my partner. I'm just like a little grumpy. I'm just like a little whatever.
Yeah, she suffers the brunt of your grumpiness, and I have suffered the brunt of your grumpiness too, as have many people.
She's never suffered the way you've suffered. Yeah.
Or the poor people in the line of the the Cusco airport. We won't even tell that story. Yeah,
Cusco airport. Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you my one real quick. Okay, so this one dates back to our trip a couple weeks ago in New York, which I have not spoken to you about since. But you know, one of the special parts about going to New York, it was the first time that my wife and I went to New York together. And it's a place that she lived for a long time, and she, you know, was very excited to show me like all of her old haunts. And so what happened is we take the subway from our hotel in Brooklyn all the way to Columbia and Barnard, which was her alma mater. And, you know, that's where our tour started. I was so like amped to be in New York and to be like in a place where you can walk that like every time she would suggest that we take a subway to the next stop, I was like, no, fuck it. It's like 20 blocks. Let's do it. Right. Dude, by the end of the day, because of my enthusiasm, we had walked over 100 blocks. We clocked 30,000 steps.
Oh my God.
We both had insane blisters that made it very difficult to travel the next day. And my wife was like basically just depleted that night and hated me the entire time.
You are such a worse boyfriend / husband than I am. Can I just say that? Like, I would never do this. I would never do this, definitely.
It's because you hate steps.
I do hate steps. I have a bone spur on my toe now. I'm like an old man like that.
Damn.
So I can't even get walking around like that.
That's good in case the Vietnam War ever comes around.
That's right. Yeah, and I can run for president. But there's still like my partner's comfort is a priority, whereas it seems like yours. Your enthusiasm became the priority here.
Yeah, we're just different types of managers. You know, like you're you're like Ancelotti. You know how to nurture the stars, like
players coach,
give them what they want. Yeah, Doc Rivers, you might say.
No,
Whereas,
not a players coach. I reject that.
Countdown fan, Doc Rivers. Whereas I'm more of a Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, ring my players for everything they're worth. But in the end, I get the better results, right?
Yeah. Didn't Ancelotti beat both those men in Champions League finals?
It's true. It's true. Rethinking my analogy. How many stars do I get for making my partner walk 30,000 steps?
That to me is a solid one. I'll give it 1.5 because it came from a good place. I'll to be clear, I get enthusiastic too. I'll do stuff like get us tickets to comedy shows like 6 months out. Like as I've done for you and I, sort of without telling you, right? Like I get excited about stuff like that. I make plans, I make commitments, right? And then sometimes when I realize in real time it's not a good idea, I'll like walk them back or like sell the tickets or whatever. So I think that's coming from a good place, but you got to know when to quit. And when to quit is about 20,000 steps in. That's what I would say. Maybe 18. Like that's when you know you should quit. So
fair enough. I'll take it. I'll wear the shame. Well, so I just want to say thank you for making the time for us. As always, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And as I always say, and only I say because it's my trademark phrase.
Do not say it. Please don't say it.
Good job by you.
See you, man.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks as always to Father Saul for joining us. And thanks to you, dear listener. I hope you like what you heard here today. And I hope to see you at New School on Monday. Make sure to check the show notes to get your discounted tickets to the event. If you like what you heard here today, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a rating, a review, subscribe. Seriously, all that stuff means the world to us. We'll be back next week with another epic episode. But if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and even our website at the LA Countdown. That's TheLaCountdown. You can also find us on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.